Hello, let me check in with Feel Free, which feel like I'm probably honing in on the end of. She's done. We had a book review section on the bookshelf, which I think is her stint as a reviewer, which she ends giving up her spot to Larry McMurtry, saying just like with the demands on her life and parenting and all that stuff that it's not going to happen anymore. But wow, she really puts in some amazing reviews. I really remember her on Jeff Dyer, who is a kind of a non-fiction essayist kind of guy with a rather ravenous, yet again another ravenous curiosity. Likes to suck up subjects, get super intense into them, and then drop them and go on to the next. But far more notable, maybe, he's got that, but he also has the literary chops, and she kind of goes into him and his bit of broishness. I don't know if you call it broishness. I can't remember at this point. This is the problem about doing all these essays. It's like I go, oh yeah, that was a good one. I can't remember anything to actually say about it. This is one of these things where I will probably at the end go back and pick out a couple of notable ones and re-listen to them and make notes on them, and then just chat about, some of the little high points that I found, and just generally, I mean, it's just she's just like really smart, really pops in her narratives, in her stuff. She's done some kind of more personal ones. Her distaste of using the first person, especially early in her career, because it's like, young writer, it's like, who am I? I don't want to show me. There's also just the English distaste, the distaste of the I. Her saying, mistaking aesthetic choice for a moral one. It being moral, being a narcissistic move to do the I. But she's saying like she's found it actually more and more of a thing, and she's actually written a novel in the first person, and it's got that kind of confessional feel to it. And also, she's really good on Philip Roth, and how Roth was able to kind of cross the divides of, like, people think he's Portney, or the other of his characters, and how that was a powerful literary tool to use, and stuff. But there's also the dangers. I think she talks about Nosgard, and how she really enjoys his stuff, not particularly for the confessional, but just for his construction. But also that, like, supposedly half his family is suing him, so there's the damage it can do. And I mean, she finds that even now with her mother, who gets confused for various mother figures in her novels, even though she's not any of them. Indeed, in her last novel that wasn't the first person, the mother in that novel dies, and the comment she gets back from one of her kind of pre-readers is like, "Oh, I'm so sorry about your mother." It's like, my mother read it, and she's like, was able to kind of, she's gotten used to being trampled, assumed to be the character in a thing. She does a good quote from Nabokov, saying Nabokov is like, having all this, the flabbiness of flabby kind of flesh of the made up, with little bullets of actuality embedded in them, of these things, that these resurrected. And she says like, I never would have done that, except in the last novel there actually is a case of that, where a 15-year-old girl punches another girl in the face because she finds her kissing a guy that she has a crush on. It's like, that's actually something that came up rather unbidden. I didn't plan it, and just came up in that novel. And now you look at it, though, and in the novel, and it looks like it's all building towards that moment. It's like my subconscious kind of seems to have compelled me, maneuvered me into doing this. So that was all really interesting. She just did one, last one I was reading, in the bathroom, or on the bathroom, was the bathroom of her parents' place, where Um, it's kind of getting this kind of this what should we call it? Kind of a woozy self perspective on like on her mother, like her having her friend over for drink and kind of talking a loud voice and being kind of all that, and she's like, oh wait a minute, this is what my mother was doing like 30 years ago and was this is why we got to stay up late. This is why it was a young woman getting to hook up with a friend that was she knew before she had us in the life before us, and that hey, my mother was probably rather rather homesick, you know, and I never considered it because I was just so much a teenager, not particularly thinking about anything but myself. And she also does that with her father, who she walked in on the bathroom one day, and it was all dark with the red light, and he said, "Oh, shut the door." And it's like he was developing film, and she was rather disappointed because it turned out to just be pictures of her family. But he had had aspirations to be a professional photographer and was one briefly. Um, and she was rather disappointed when it turned out to be just pictures, family photos. But now she kind of goes back to them and goes, "Oh, actually, they're a lot better than I actually gave them credit for." And she's kind of she's like, my mother is still living and has kind of got to go on and live her dreams and do her stuff. But for him, he died before he could ever come out the other side of raising kids. Like, we are the product of his thing, this writer and rapper, and it's like, it's there's he gave us the stability. They stayed together when they probably were not really that happy, but they gave us the stability to be who I am now. And at the time, I'd found that, like, for the children, really detestable. But that is why their choice to do that did give me the stability to go on to be who I am today, a successful, very successful writer. So yeah, some good essays, which apparently I do have some of it still in my head there, which is good. It's good to actually have a little chat about it. All right, I will leave it there.